Creatures of creativity. From the front office Wealth Strategies studio in beautiful, cold Edwardsville, welcome to the Creatures of Creativity podcast, the podcast focused on the people and the process of creating. Episode number 2. I am David Leip. As always, we are presented by Whole Street Productions, creating powerful stories through film. Check them out at wholestreetproductions.com. Joining me in the studio tonight from Whole Street is Ryan Tollison. Good to see you, bud.
You too. How are you?
And you're busy these days, huh?
We're busy. Yeah, we're very surprisingly busy for this time of year, and can't complain. It's been cool doing some creative projects, doing some not so creative projects, but it's money, so you got to do what you got to do. But
it's cold, not cool.
No, it's yeah, true. And also we're shooting outside next Monday, so I'm looking forward to whatever god awful temperature that's going to be.
It's gonna be 40s next week.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I'm watching the weather closely.
Thank God.
Welcome to Weather Talk, Creatures of Weather.
Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about.
All right. Each episode, we bring in a creator or creators into the studio and talk about their process and talk about their product. And I'm super stoked tonight because tonight we're going to talk punk rock.
Hell yeah.
And you got experience in being in a rock and roll band.
A little bit, yeah.
I don't, but I've listened to my fair share of punk rock.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to the show. The Winks, one of St. Louis's preeminent punk rock bands. Good to see you, boys.
Oh, there we go.
Thank you for having us.
In the studio tonight from the Winks, we've got Dylan Dunnigan. Say hi to the folks, Dylan.
Hello to the folks.
We've got Alex Ward. Say howdy, Alex.
Howdy.
Good to see you. And we've got the tall guy, the bearded wonder, Calvin Heinz. Good to see you, Calvin.
Hey, what's up?
Everything good?
Yeah, I'm chilling.
Like a villain. All right, guys, let's talk about the Winks. Who are the Winks?
I think a more appropriate question is, what are the Winks? No, I'm just kidding. I'm Dylan, lead singer, guitar player, lead songwriter, I guess. We all, not to divulge too much too soon, but we all have a pretty good creative input. And to say one's a songwriter, I feel like is kind of pigeonholing or not. It's just not completely accurate. But I would say I just kind of take the lead on some stuff, and then we work on it together. And that's kind of my role in the band.
Songwriter, lead man, front man, out in front there. You're the Stevie Ray Vaughan now.
Mm-hmm. If only I could play guitar like Stevie.
All right. Alex, what's your role?
I'm the drummer slash co-songwriter. And a more accurate question would be, why are the Winks?
Why are the Winks?
So I'm the drummer. I've been the drummer for 2 years.
Calvin.
Hi, yeah, I'm Calvin. I play bass and sing, and I've been in 2 years as well. At 2.5 years, we joined at the same time. Me and Alex.
Okay, and so how often are the Winks playing shows this winter?
I'd say we've been on a pretty good schedule, about one every 3 weeks almost, if we go on average. We haven't really taken time off. We also don't want to bombard, St. Louis with it being a smaller city. You don't want to play too much all the time because then it's just I can just go see them next Friday at the next spot. So you want to have a little bit of a give and take when it comes to booking shows and going out and making yourself available to make people want to come out. Otherwise, I'll catch the next one. I'll catch the next one. Well, then, they kind of never come because there's just always the next one, and it's a vicious cycle. So I'd say we, on average, it's about 3 weeks, maybe a month. Try to get in and tear a venue up as best we can.
Is that what you want to play? Once every 3 weeks?
I think for a market of this area, that's probably about right. Because you have to look at it are people going to come out? Are you going to have fun? Are they going to have fun? We're later on after the winter break's going to start hitting the road and stuff. We got a couple trips to Chicago down. We're up Milwaukee. I think February we were in Carbondale. So it's kind of hitting the circuit. We were, I don't want to say disorganized, but it's kind of I think we have a better game plan of how we want to go about making rounds. Pretty regional.
Sure.
For right now.
I don't think you're supposed to be super organized if you're a punk rock band. Do you feel like the Sex Pistols were organized?
I think they had someone organize for them.
Yes. Do you have an organizer?
Yeah, he's sitting over there.
So you're the organizer also. So are you the role of band manager?
Oh, unofficially, I suppose. I mean, I've been mostly running the social media, and I kind of keep these two guys together. And let's see.
How
Well,
important
but
is
Dylan's also managed a bunch of the bookings, which has been great.
how important is social media for a rock and roll band of any genre
These
in
days,
2025?
These days, I'd say if you're unsigned, I'd say it's very important. I mean, we've gotten several opportunities just from other bands, or people, I think, like you, finding us through social media.
Exactly.
And I mean, we've really gotten lucky with a couple of long form videos that we've cut up into clips, and so the strategy there is just posting daily if we can, once every 1 or 2 days. Post that daily on Instagram Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and then all those get pushed out for discoverability.
If I've never seen a Winx show, I hear about this band called the Winx. What can you guarantee me I'm going to see? What am I going to see? Get closer for that mic.
Oh, yeah.
Get up there.
Loud rock and roll music. Loud rock and roll music done well. Done in the sense of caring. It's not about the pretty lights. It's not about, getting oogled on stage or anything. It's about putting on a real experience.
We can't afford the lights. We can't afford a light show yet.
How about the oogling? Can you afford the oogling?
No, not that either.
I was gonna say Alex gets oogled damn near every show. This man takes his shirt off.
Attaboy. Way to go.
I'd be hard pressed to find someone who looks good as that dude. That's all I'm saying. Like we did, we almost hurt. Yeah, we were not far off from selling out the Duck Room at Blueberry Hill in St. Louis last year. And there's just a group of people just like, Alex, take your shirt off. And I'm like, I could hear him like over the band, and I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, all right, you got to do it.
Started small, and then after a minute, it was like half the room was cheering him on. And it's like, it's not like it's a one time. It's
Is it
like
a weekly thing?
every couple shows, you'll just get someone that it's like, oh, they caught this for like they're like, they haven't been to a show a time or two, but they're there, and they were there for Duck Room, so they shout that out. And every now and again, he gets his chance.
It was also Calvin's friend who started that one at the Duck Room, I'm pretty sure. Wasn't it Andrew?
I don't know who.
I think it was.
So we're not going to.
But it does get hot and sweaty, and
That's part of it.
yeah, that's exactly. So, as a drummer, I can only last maybe 15 minutes getting really overheated.
Don't say that out.
Without-
Why are you saying that?
15 minutes. What a hero.
Without getting overheated. So it's easy to get overheated.
I said we were going to be a family show.
Man.
See?
Yeah, that went out
That was
the window.
good.
Yeah,
That was good.
that was good. That was
We
really
didn't
good.
say
I was gonna
what.
say, it takes long. Like, bro, I am hot after the first song. You're back there 15 minutes
boy.
in, man.
All right, let's
You're
talk
not
about
putting effort in.
let's talk about the journey. How do we get to become the Winx? How do we get to become a punk rock band? Where does this start? Go ahead.
Well, I think let's have Dylan start his story, and then because he was the creator of the Winx.
He's the original Wink.
The original Wink. The original Wink, much longer than Calvin and I have been a part of it.
I just remember, like, as a kid, my parents, we'd listen to country music, like Alan Jackson and Brooks and Dunn, like Tanya Tucker and George Jones and all that stuff. My grandpa used to play George Jones tapes for me, and I always loved that. I don't know what it was about it. I still love it. Like, I'm still, like, I'll be in a great mood. All of a sudden, I'm like, I want to play some George Jones, and all of a sudden, next scene, like 5 minutes, I'd be crying, he stopped loving her today. I'm like, like, just bawling my eyes out because it's great. So like I just always loved music. I still, like, even looking back trying to figure out what it's about, don't know. And at this point I quit asking. I'm like, all right, just it called, and I picked up the phone. You know,
So when did you start playing an instrument, though?
I would say probably about. Oh, I might have been 12, I think. I bugged my parents for a couple years to get a guitar and learn.
Highland, Illinois.
Yes. Yeah.
Straight up in Highland.
Straight out of Highland, yeah.
You're a bulldog.
Yep. Highland High School.
There you go.
Class of 12, if I remember right. And our senior team went 0-9 that year. I'll never forget that.
That's okay. Were you in the high school band?
No. I took guitar lessons. I found band to be too rigid. Like I get it for certain things like symphonies and orchestras, you have to have that rigidness, or like jazz ensembles and stuff like that. But for me, I'm like, this isn't, there's a correct way to do things, but I don't think there's always a wrong way to play music. And it was just too controlling for me.
Just
Like,
wasn't your thing. So
No.
what were you into?
I was into like rock and roll. I remember a friend of mine gave me a CD that had American Idiot on it that he burned. And I heard Green Day for the first time, those opening lines to American Idiot. I went, what is this? And then the song Holiday came on, and that opening guitar riff, and I'm just like, something clicked in my brain. I'm like, I have to learn how to do this for myself. I have to pick up, that's a guitar. I have to be able to pick up a guitar and play that. I have to. And I did it. And I'm like, huh.
I think every musician has that story of like,
Yeah.
there's this one thing I heard, and then I just knew I had to do it.
Yeah.
And so for you, it was Green Day.
Yeah.
For me, Green Day. When I heard Green Day, I thought this would have been great 20 years ago. Like the Clash already did that. Do something else.
Sure.
And so I maybe I'm too hard on Green Day. That's like maybe my unpopular opinions. I know a lot of people love them, but that's just what I thought.
Sure.
But anyway.
Well, you look back in Kerplunk and stuff, and you can hear like Billy's vocal. He was very, very Joe Strummer-esque in some of the ways he did things. I love the Clash too. That first record they put out, that self-titled, that's a staple. Like if you call yourself punk rock or anything, and you haven't heard that, then
I think to a degree, a lot of it starts with that and the Sex Pistols. I wasn't expecting to talk about necessarily the history of punk rock. Okay, how about you guys? What's your musical journey?
I guess I'll go next. So I grew up playing. I started with violin, into piano, into saxophone.
You hear that, parents? Don't let your kids play violin because they're going to wind up a shirtless drummer in a punk rock band.
Hey, I'm not going to deny that. But I never really expected to pick up drums, but I started writing music in high school. I started out with just like writing like kind of MIDI, what is it? Oh my god. Sheet music writing software. Why am I blanking on the name? Because it's been over 10 years since I've
So
used
you're
it.
writing music online.
Yeah. I was writing music with like programs, and then that turned into writing music with piano, and then doing some recordings. And
At what age? This is early.
About 16 or 17.
Okay. Where'd you grow up?
In Webster Groves in
Okay.
St. Louis.
Okay.
And so I started writing my own music, and at the time I was really into rock as well. And I had a friend who was a drummer who he and his friend came over, and we did some recordings, and he left his drum set there. And so I started playing around on it, and then little by little, I really enjoyed it. And I bought another friend's dad's drum set who's actually the saxophonist in El Monstero, yes.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's a fun fact that I have Dave Farver from El Monstero's drum set.
There you go.
But yeah, and then didn't join a band until there was another band before the Wink, so I joined about 3 years ago, two and a half.
Punk rock?
No, more kind of indie classic rock influence.
Sweet. All right. And then we got the bass guitar player.
Bum, bum, bum.
Mine is like a mix of the two because I definitely started my musical journey was much more. My dad had a huge CD collection, and as long as I didn't scratch up the CDs and I put them back where he had them, I could listen to any CD I wanted to. So, and I mean, even as a kid, there was always music in the car. He always was listening to music. I remember like the first early songs I remember, like the B-52s, the Beatles, Supertramp. Like those are some of still to this day my favorites. And so it was like that for a while. And I guess the first musical spark would have been like hearing, I think it was like Smells Like Teen Spirit. It was a Nirvana song. I remember like much later on coming back and being like, oh, I remember that's why I wanted to play music, and it was drums. I think it was Smells Like Teen Spirit. I heard that and I was
Love
like, wow, those drums are huge. And when you're like 8, 9 years old, and that's the cool thing is drums. So I was like, wow, that's awesome. So that stuck around. And then I guess about 14, I got a guitar. And then from there, it was a lot more heavier stuff, a lot of metal. That's why I wanted to play guitar. I wanted to be like James Hetfield.
Everybody wants to be Papa, dude. Everyone
But
wants
the
to be
thing
Papa.
was, I didn't want to play fast. I just wanted to play rhythm guitar. It was not the speed, or it was just like he's a really solid rhythm guitarist. I want to be like that.
Power chords.
Yeah, and then
How about you? What made you want to be in a rock and roll band, Mr. Ryan?
Oh gosh. I don't know. I'd say my drummer Colin got me into music, like pretty hard into like rock music in like sophomore year of high school, and it kind of just went like I knew he had drums, and he's like, you should get a guitar and play. So I got a Epiphone Les Paul from Guitar Center.
yeah,
Sunburst.
you get the Les Paul too.
Yeah.
Hey,
you did.
first guitar.
First guitar.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
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 No.
Oh, no.
I shattered
Oh,
mine.
man. Oh, did you?
Yeah, it
Oh,
got wrapped.
dude.
That's why I played bass. Was it got because I would play so low, it got hooked around my foot one day, and I dropped, and it just shattered right at the neck. So I was like, well, I kind of wanted to play
That's a
bass
terrible
anyways.
story. You need to come up with a much better story. It's got to be like at the end of the gig, I picked it up and I shattered it.
Oh no, the best part about the story he leaves out is that he wanted to play bass, but he said, and I quote, "Who would ask for a bass guitar? They won't give me that. I have to ask for a guitar first."
I didn't.
And then go
I
back and
wanted
ask
to.
for a
Yeah, I
bass.
wanted to play bass because I really like Cliff Burton, and then why can't I think of Foo Fighters bass player? Nate Mendel.
Yeah.
I liked both those bands. Those were my
That's
two
awesome.
big bands at the time. So I was like, I wanted to do that, but I was like, I don't think my parents are gonna like want to get me a bass and then get me bass lessons. I was like, everyone starts on guitar, so I just like got a like $100 Les Paul.
Dude, that was the way to go. I can't imagine listening to someone try to learn how to play bass though, like through the walls, and just hearing like dun, dun, and like off key, just good God.
The first riff I learned was oh my gosh, why can I think Enough Space.
Oh, nice.
Which definitely is not a fun one to be
Yeah.
learning when you've been play. Yeah, but like the first song I learned on bass is so like I'm sure it sounded awful.
I mean, yeah, there's not much leeway in that instrument. Like you expect it from drums, like if you're learning to play drums, but like bass, just hearing the droning and yeah, dude, power to your parents for allowing that. My gosh.
Some patient parents for sure.
I've got 2 little boys, so I'm like, God, don't pick loud. Pick a guitar.
It was
like
that,
an
and then I got a
acoustic or
drum set
something.
like a year later
Oh,
just to
man.
bang on. They're
Oh.
very appreciative of it. I appreciate them. They've always
That's
supported
awesome.
me
That's awesome.
because I'm sure there's just nothing but noise
God.
for like 8 years that I was living with them playing music.
That's awesome.
So this incantation of the Winks is 2 years old. When was the first? When did the Winks first become a thing?
I want to say we booked our first show September 2014.
Wow.
I was a freshman in high school.
So you guys have been around 11
See
years,
that look?
man.
I
see
didn't
that
need
look.
to know that.
I love that's
Man.
my favorite part is
I hate him so
us
much.
being such a big age gap. He'll tell me about
I-
something he was doing in like the mid 2010s, and I'll look at him and be like, I was in algebra 2.
He'll look and be like, "No, I was in social studies," and I'm like, "Yeah, I was traveling the Midwest playing cover gigs."
Has it always been punk rock?
Yeah, I don't know. I listened to Dookie for the first time, Green Day's record, and I'm like, so like American Idiot, I'm like, oh cool, wow, I'm into this. And then Dookie was like, you know what, I can write songs too. It was my introduction. It was so accessible, And after I really sat down with Dookie, I'm like, I can do this. And so like the first record we have out is really Green Day. You want to call it Green Day worship, at that point, because like that's all I knew how to do. But then later on, I started expanding more into where now it's like I'm really obsessed with like the Replacements and the Beatles and the band and stuff like that, and like a lot of power pop like Nick Lowe and like the Sweet, and just anything that's, I don't know, kind of catchy and loud but melodic.
Yeah.
The screamy stuff has a place or whatever, but I'm more of a melodies guy. That's why I'm a massive McCartney fan. And the Replacements has now been another one the last few years. I just want to be like Paul Westerberg to an extent, just like how he phrases things, how he puts things down in his tracks and stuff like that.
Great lyricist. Gary's got a boner.
Yeah,
Classic.
Yeah, what was
Androgynous.
when he says "rip rip" in the corner of the mouth now when Tommy's got his tonsils out,
Yeah.
like
Genius.
open wide, no. But yeah, no, he gets into Unsatisfied.
Yeah.
Listen to a song like Unsatisfied. My God,
I agree. That's right.
It's incredible. I'm just like,
raw emotion.
especially the way he delivers it on the record. Look me in the eye and then tell me that I'm satisfied.
Yeah. I think the Replacements are a big deal. I don't think you get much argument or much pushback. You think you'll always play punk rock? Some of the bands you mentioned there are not necessarily punk rock. Do you see a day when you get up on stage and the Winks don't have a, so now you're going to play 10cc? I'm Not in Love.
I think there will always be iterations. I think there will always be leaning one way or the other because I don't like to write the same song twice. If I'm sitting down doing it, and always looking for something a little bit different, just what's out there? What is it? What's expand? What's explore? What do I like about that? What don't I like about that? I think there's always going to be a rock and roll base. I just like more. I like rock and roll in its rawest form. Whether you call it punk or grunge or whatever, I'm paraphrasing Billy Joe Armstrong of Green Day at that point, but he said it so perfectly.
Yeah.
I just love raw rock and roll. When you listen to like an old Bowie track or something or anything of that nature, it's just, it comes out and kicks you like Spiders.
What about the blues?
Love the blues. It was really, really big on Stevie Ray Vaughan and Albert King and B.B. King and stuff like that. Robert Johnson, I haven't even touched his stuff to look at it, to play it, because there's just another level.
Yeah.
But yeah, I played the blues for years.
You got to make a deal with the devil to play Robert Johnson.
Yeah, you do.
You don't get to just play it.
No. And that's how he did it.
That's special. that's special right there. All right. Tell me about your set. If I go see a set today, what percentage of it is your music, stuff you've written? What percentage of it is punk standards? What am I going to hear typically? I'm sure it's going to change show to show.
We divvy it up. We go back and forth on different things.
I heard Helter Skelter.
We do, yeah. That's just fun.
Yeah, that's good.
That's just all there is to it. That's just fun. I would say it's like 99 to 98% of ours. And
okay.
We like to throw in the other stuff just to have some fun. That's all. Because we like playing that music. We like playing that stuff, and we constantly we throw cover ideas back and forth. Like, we should. Well, maybe not that one right now, but what about the? Constantly throwing around different song ideas and things to do, because it's like it's fun. And at the end of the day, I feel like that's why we started as playing music, is because it's something we like to do. You never start out writing your own songs. You start out playing somebody else's, and then I feel like that little bit never dies. You're always like, I want to pick up a guitar and I want to play Basket Case or something, just because it's fun. It's what I used to do, and I still enjoy it, doing it every now and then.
That's great. That's awesome.
Some of the covers you mentioned, Helter Skelter. Tell me some other songs that you're covering right now.
Well, Helter.
Well, do we want to give it all away now, or should you come to a rock and roll show and see it?
But I think if you'd give us a little tease of some songs that we might want to hear, I think.
Well, we've been known to dance around Helter Skelter, and we'll throw in a little bit of War Pigs by Black Sabbath.
That's the one I heard too online.
Yeah. So it's a mashup.
Yeah.
It was Dylan, and we have a guitarist, live guitarist. He comes and plays shows with us. So Dylan and Vic, they had the initial idea of a mashup of War Pigs and Helter Skelter.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so we do have a video online. You can watch us play it. But yeah, of course, please come see us play it live, but yeah, it's what it encompasses the full song of Helter Skelter, but verse and a chorus of War Pigs.
It's like a verse and an instrumental bit.
Like the cool part.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the cool part. And you know what we're talking about.
Think about the cool part in that song, whatever that
I
means
love
to you,
jazz.
and we play that
That
part.
And also, we've been known to throw around some Lady Gaga
Oh, nice.
because Gaga is awesome.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Good for you.
Yeah, you're gonna hear a little bit of everything on us.
Whipping the
Yeah.
crowd into a frenzy with the Lady Gaga. Good for you.
We've seen it happen. It's funny. All of a sudden, you just start that song, and there's like, and you're like, yeah, it's happening. It's happening. It's happening in front of your eyes right now.
Oh, but Dylan made a little girl cry when he sang.
That was Taylor Swift.
That was Taylor
And
Swift.
that's why we don't play Taylor Swift.
And that's why you don't play 10-year-old birthday parties anymore.
No.
Yes, that is why.
No, we were busking in the loop.
That particular reason.
We were busking in the loop, which we met a very spacey friend at the loop too. But
No, Calvin, who was he? Who
I don't.
he was a future spaceman.
Yeah, he was a future spaceman.
Bradley. It was
Bradley.
Bradley. I'm a spaceman from the future.
Oh, wow.
But
This guy was so whacked out on
Yeah.
ketamine and LSD.
Yeah.
He didn't even know what he was doing. Like seriously.
but
Get the lottery numbers from him at least.
I think he's so far from the future that the lottery was not a conceivable
It's gone.
thing to him.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
makes sense.
He did give us the words of advice that we need to be writing 500 songs a day. I remember that, and I live by that. You
You're
know?
not?
Yeah. What are you doing?
Well,
with
I
your
mean,
day?
those
You're not
are
writing
chump
500
numbers.
songs.
I'm writing at least 5,000. You know, like
Oh.
We can't all be Bob Dylan.
yeah, but there was a little girl who came up with her family and asked Dylan to play some Taylor Swift. So
It's inevitable.
yeah, and I don't know what song you started playing, but
Was it we
Our were both song is a screen young when door.
Oh. Love Story.
Yeah, love story.
Love Story. And the,
How'd that go?
Not well.
I don't know what she was expecting, but she started crying.
So busking is a part of our operation. That's cool.
We did it one time before the Blueberry Hill show. It was an experiment.
Is it fun?
She may have cried,
Yeah.
but the cops didn't run us out, so I call it a success.
That's
you
cool.
go.
All right. Biggest influences. I've heard Green Day a couple times. You got the Pink Floyd shirt on.
I do love me some.
Who are your big punk rock influences other than Green Day, who you mentioned? You go back to Black Flag and the Sex Pistols and the Dead Milkmen and those real early days, the Henry
I love
Rollins.
Flag and the Milkman.
You into that stuff?
Oh yeah, I mean I'm into everything. You spit it at me, and I'll listen to that. I'll listen to, like I said, Supertramp. I still love Supertramp, and then I also, I'm a big fan of just anything experimental. So I think my biggest influence though, like Dinosaur Jr.
Love it.
Nice.
Love the video when they're hitting the golf balls off the roof of the houses. Have you
I
seen
don't
that
think
one?
I don't. I'm not
the
a
big
music.
Dinosaur Jr. song. It's the big, I
Feel the pain, probably.
Feel the pain.
I was gonna say I'm not a music video guy. I'm a live.
Yeah.
I'm a live video guy.
Love that.
You know.
That's good stuff. And I would pay to hear you guys play Bitchin' Camaro if you're
I know it, and I throw it on them quite a bit.
big lizard in my backyard.
I
used to
also
play
know
for
that
my
one.
kids all the time.
The VFW.
As long as it's
you
not
stand
Punk
here
Rock
and name
Girl.
it.
Yeah.
No, we're
I know
not
that
playing
song.
Punk Rock Girl, but we will play Stewart. I really want to play Stewart.
That would be.
I can spit it out. If you play bass, I'll take vocals.
Little Mojo Nixon. You ever heard of him? Mojo Nixon Skid. That's good stuff too. That's right in that same wheelhouse.
Man, I would say my biggest influence, especially when I started drumming, was Rise Against and Green Day. So I learning drums, I would play along to a lot of Rise Against and Green Day, especially Revolution Radio, and all Rise Against. Which at the time of this recording, they have a new song coming out tomorrow, which I'm very excited about.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, they're being very just giving hints on social media, but yeah, something's coming tomorrow. And then Foo Fighters. Yeah, I would say those have been some of my top favorite bands that I listen to the most, and as a drummer, and songwriter. And then Muse, especially as a songwriter, Muse. Some of my stuff that I was doing before the Winks was very influenced by Muse, a little more progressive, sort of more theatrical type music.
So when you're writing songs, and are you collaborating mostly these days with Alex? So how does that process go?
I feel like it's closer to an 85 to 15% split, something like that. How it usually goes, and I finally figured it out when I'm sitting by myself, driving in the car, taking a walk. I'm just in my room, staring out a window. When it's quiet, things just kind of happen. I don't know how to describe it.
Does it start with the lyrics or does it start with the music?
Usually both. They'll hit at the same time. We have a song called Green Eyes off of the EP that's titled after as well. And I remember I was at my old job and I was just in the back doing my work, and the first line came to me, out of nowhere. It goes, how heavy can your heart be when I finally can't hold it? And the lyric and the melody came in too at the same time, and just, what was that? And then I just ran with it, went home, finished it in like 5-10 minutes or something like that. I'm like, oh, okay, this is what this is.
What song are you most proud of? You're like, that's a really great song.
Probably Can You Feel My Heart Beating, off of the Green Eyes EP, if we're talking released music. It's like a mix of everything that I kind of want in a rock and roll song. It's catchy, it moves, it's got massive hooks, it's still loud and raw, but yet it still is really, it's not like getting an underground bootleg tape of, Dead Kennedys in a basement in Minnesota.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a nice, good, full production behind it to make it sound just like it should be. Like it should sound like a good song,
That's great.
Do you ever play that song, bare your soul, think to yourself, man, this is the greatest song ever, and then afterwards someone says, hey, play something I know.
Yeah, see,
play my Sharona.
That right there is why I don't ever do that. Because it's like, I'll play mine, no thanks, and then it's my Sharona. I'm like, you got it. Don't set up that expectation, I do love the Knack, though. They're pretty cool.
Best show, favorite show you've ever done, guys? Like, what's your favorite show? You're like, oh, man, that show we did in Carbondale or whatever.
Oh, it's got to be the Duck Room.
Yeah, the Duck Room. I'd agree.
Yeah, we had that was almost a full. We almost had 350 people in there at capacity. People hooting and hollering, and I remember.
Were you the headline?
We were third out of fourth that night. We were put on an event called Rock and Roll Night with some friends of ours. We had Redwood, our dear friends Native State, and then our old band, Alex's old band, Forgiving Tree, rounded out the end of the evening. And I like to take a few minutes, about 15, 20, and kind of warm up, and just kind of get loose and, hey, get away from me for a second. I'm going to sing a little bit and just kind of, make sure everything works. And I walk back out of the back room in Duck Room to start setting stuff up and, see the lay of the land. And I look out, and the place was packed. And I went, what happened?
Did you get nervous?
I didn't get nervous, but I was just like, okay. I played in another band called Dan Vapid and the Cheats. And Dan Vapid was in Screeching Weasel and the Riverdales and stuff like that, the Mopes, Methadones. And I've got to play a couple festivals with him overseas in Italy. And we'll draw about 4,000 or 5,000 people over there when we play, because he's got a really big European following.
That's
and
crazy.
so like that.
So you've been on stage for thousands of people.
I've seen it there, and then I actually got to play with Green Day on the Revolution Radio Tour in 2017 here at the amphitheater in town at the Hollywood Casino.
No way.
Like
That's
I said
awesome.
earlier,
I think that's
Greatest
so
band
funny.
ever.
I could have seen you at that show. I could have seen you at that amphitheater show, play with them, but I had to work that night, and I got given the ticket the day before, so I couldn't get off work. That's really funny though, because all my friends went to that show, and I was like, guys, I can't take that ticket. No one would take off for me.
Oh man.
any other
Where do we
great
go from there?
shows?
Well, I mean, there was one show that comes to mind that there was basically nobody at, but we got really lucky at Cafe Berlin in Columbia. there was like a local nonprofit that does that teaches people how to do professional live stream video shoots. So we got a very high quality like full length video of our set, which has been coming back to marketing has been really great.
So that's what I'm seeing when I see the pieces on Facebook.
yeah,
from that show?
yeah. The it's like
Good amount of them.
yeah,
Because we played, that was like an hour set, so there was a lot.
a lot of content.
Lot of a lot of songs got played
Right.
that night.
But it looks kind of 70s. I don't know. Like the backdrop just to me looks kind of 70s.
Well, it's retro, dude.
Yeah, it's retro. And those pulled pork sandwiches were so good.
Oh yeah. Oh, also Cafe Berlin does this thing. I guess the owner of the club, if I remember this right, is a massive fan of Jurassic Park. And so people will bring in original VHS copies of Jurassic Park. And at any point in time, I mean, I'll have to look through my phone after we get done to show you. They have shelves of the original VHS of the first Jurassic Park just everywhere in that place.
Just that same copy.
The same copy,
Yeah.
and they put it in a tape player, in a VHS player,
Yeah.
on a TV in like a little seating area, and it's constantly going. And when it's done, they rewind and hit play, and they run the tape out, and
Oh my god.
and when it's done, they put another one in.
Yeah, it's an interesting place.
I thought it
I
was
gotta
great.
check that out. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So we were sitting there like during sound check and stuff, like after we got done, just watching Jurassic Park.
Michael
okay.
Michael Crichton.
That's awesome. Man.
Michael Crichton is had a best-selling book, a #1 TV series, and a #1 film in the theaters, all at the same time.
That's wild.
Wow.
ER was his show,
Yeah.
and he had
Okay.
and he had a book,
Oh.
and he had Jurassic Park all out at the same time. So Michael Crichton, super talented dude.
That's amazing.
Yeah, pretty cool. Where can people find your music? If people want to hear more about the Winks, they want to hear more Winks tunes.
You can find it everywhere. We're on Apple Music. We're on Spotify. We're on Tidal. We're on Deezer. We're on your favorite streaming sharing websites. We got links to Bandcamp up on our link tree.
Right on.
TikTok. We'll link you back over. Just we're everywhere.
I got to ask you the question that you probably get asked the most, and that is, what's with the name?
Okay, yeah.
Should we say?
Yeah. So we were starting with the original lineup. We're trying to figure out what to call ourselves. Our friend, he's since passed. His name is Steve Winkler, had taken us down to NAMM Show, which, if you don't know what NAMM Show is, it's companies like Gibson, Fender, and all the guitar amp manufacturers and pickup manufacturers, stuff like that. They'll put out their new product for the next year. They'll showcase it to artists and vendors that come in, and so we got to go down and check it out. And we're down in Nashville. We went to Winter NAMM,
And what year was this?
or Summer NAMM, sorry. 2012, 2013, 2014, somewhere around there. Probably 2014, because we booked September for the first show, if I remember right. So we're sitting there going back and forth about a name and everything, and all of a sudden Steve, where it's after hours, hanging out on the patio, he just goes, I just hear him just rear back because we're going back and forth about a name, and all of a sudden he just goes, "Oh, call it the Winks, for God's sakes!" And so the original drummer Alex Black and I looked at each other, and like our faces lit up. We're like, "That's it." It's just, and it's gone from there. And then we used to play music at a place called Stratford Inn down in Fenton. They used to have an open jam back down there when it was still open, and we met our friend Frank. And he's a guitar player and like does graphic design, artist, just a creative guy.
Yeah.
And he showed me a guitar pick that he made. He goes, "I made that." I'm like, "Hey, can I use that for a design? I think that would go well for a band. I'm starting here." And he goes, "Tell you what, I'll give it to you if you give me a shirt when you get it made." Like, sure. And so, yeah,
Right.
we got the design, had somebody, I can't remember the shop, whipped it up. And I went back and said, "Hey, Frank, what size you wear?" He goes, "This." I'm like, "Here you go. Thank you." And then, so that's where we got the logo and everything.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And now the new iteration has been it's not been changed necessarily, but it's been kind of just reimagined just a little bit by our friend Andy Binder of Icon and Ink. He's a screen printer, graphic designer,
Yeah.
illustrator, and stuff like that.
Okay.
And he did the artwork for Green Eyes and for the single and everything like that. And I'm really close with Andy. We have a great relationship, and so a lot, if not all, of our
Speaking of Green Eyes, right?
yeah.
Here we go. So this is Green Eyes by the Winks.
I like it.
Nice work, man. Nice work.
Thank you.
Very good. Very good. Very clean. Lyrics kind of remind me a little bit of a band called Guadalcanal Diary. It's kind of obscure 80s band, but like the vocal side, yeah. They've got a great version of Kumbaya. But I remember seeing them at Mississippi Nights. They're kind of like an REM, but like a little heavier.
Gotcha. Okay.
Little heavier than that. Okay, good. I like the sound.
Yeah, it's great. Man.
It wasn't as punky as I thought you were gonna. It's a little more poppy than like what I would call traditional punk rock. I wouldn't call that traditional punk rock. Would you?
Mm-mm.
I'm not putting it down at all. Right?
Yeah, it's more power pop,
Yeah.
which is I don't know. I'd say it's a close cousin to punk rock.
Yeah, it's just all rock and roll. It's in the rock and roll family, you know.
For sure.
And like kind of like I touched on earlier, like as long as it's rock and roll music, I'm a fan of it. You know, because we have some songs on the rest of that EP that they're a little grungy, they're a little rippy, they get heavy like that, you know. And then there's like then there's a sweet side of it. You know, it's just kind of
Punk rock is a very visual and visceral thing too.
yes.
It's a very physical thing, and it's a very visual art. What are you doing on stage that equals punk rock? You're not spitting on people anymore.
There you go.
You jumping off speakers. What are you doing?
And doing stuff like that, you know, it's kind of like
Crowd surfing.
trying to. I can't wait for that to happen. That's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Attaboy.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, as long as I got the room, I try to run like a maniac. Really, you
have
know.
a wireless mic?
I do. We don't ever use it though. I do have a wireless mic.
Oh, you do?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
It's an SM58, I think. I have to look at it, but
You guys do any other art besides your music? You guys painters or anything like that? A lot of times guys in bands are also doing other stuff artistically.
I draw stick figures.
Attaboy. I knew you had an artistic side.
Now, I do enjoy, like my girlfriend and I will do projects around the house, like installing, I don't know if you call it art, but I kind of find it, I like the idea of like pulling, like going through plaster to put in a new electrical duplex. You're doing stuff like that together.
You're changing
and-
out outlets.
Yeah, changing, or we're putting in outlets.
Okay.
We're creating more outlets for the room, and doing stuff like that. Like honestly, I really love mowing the yard, like doing regular like dad stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Are you a dad?
No.
Okay.
That's even funnier.
I think you're really stretching the definition of creativity here.
What's I don't know. I feel like I get that. I think I think the creative aspect of what I do in this band is so frankly overwhelming sometimes that when it comes to, well, what do you do besides that? It's just like nothing creative.
Yeah.
Almost.
You gotta have some downtime.
Yeah.
Or it just meshes together. And speaking of mowing the lawn, I've had some of my best ideas riding a lawnmower.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Because you get lost in thought. I mean, I have earbuds in, listen to music, but then you're just kind of like still dazed off.
Yeah.
And some things pop in. You're like, holy shit, where's that? Like, I'm gonna use that for something. I'm gonna put that together. So
Yeah.
it can all be traced back. I think it's all meditative and all everything has its place, in my opinion. Not to get too deep about it, which sounds totally pretentious, but
Hippie.
yeah. What a douchebag I am. Listen to me.
Well, the point is, though, you didn't sit down to come up with the idea for the film. It just came to you when you were doing something mundane.
Exactly.
And the great thing about mowing the yard is nobody can really bother you.
True.
People can't
Yes.
come up to you.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's a
true.
very solo
True.
thing. So it
Yeah.
takes me about 2.5 hours to mow my yard.
Ooh,
So
beautiful.
you spend a lot of time just,
Yeah.
I fantasize about that when I retire. Like, that's going to be my next job, is like mowing grass on a golf course.
Oh,
I think that would be bliss.
wow.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
don't you
it's got to
think?
be
Not for me.
satisfying, too.
Yeah.
Just seeing, like, the I don't know.
You're a golfer.
Yeah.
Very good. What's the future of the Winks?
The future is just continuing. It's hopefully getting more capital to be able to really invest in what we do. You know, people at this point would start looking at the sellout label, and I'm like, no, I want to make money for the art that we create, and I want it to go back into what we're doing. I'm not trying to cash out and like, oh, you know, we just made $1,000 of merch and I'm taking that to the bank. Like, no, this goes back into recording time. It goes into t-shirts. You know, hopefully we can get vinyl pressed. Here's some CDs. We're gonna do stickers. You know, we're gonna put the Winks on a koozie. You know, it all goes back into how we can keep this thing going. And then, you know, when you get enough money, how do you expand? Then you get the conversion van. You know, and then you start making enough money to where it's like, hey, you can kind of pay bills with this. We can go out farther. And, you know, the next thing you know, you're selling records to people in Nevada or something.
Yeah.
You know,
I think music is so accessible via Apple Music. You know, in the old days, you had to press records and take your car and take your records to Nevada. Whereas now, I think it's pretty easy for somebody in Nevada to hear you on Apple Music.
Yeah.
Man. I think your music is out there, and I think your catalog is big.
I think I agree with the sentiment, but also I think what gets lost in the translation now with everything being so readily available in your face is the live rock and roll experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like we're real people doing this, you know. Even now, you know, we were just faces on a screen until this very moment to you guys.
Yeah.
You know, we're real. We make this happen. You know, you get us a couple plugs into a wall and we'll make it happen for you again right in front of you. You know, it's not just a video in a club somewhere. Like, I think a lot of people, you look at like TikTok and like the Instagram reels and stuff like that, are like, hey, you know, I have 100 million views on this, and it's like it's fantastic. But when are you gonna go see those people? You know, like give them
How
something.
does it convert?
Well, just giving them something real, you know. It's like I bring up Green Day again, but those guys sold 55,000 records out of the back of a van on the road, and that's what they did. They made themselves real to people. I will never forget the first time I saw them, you know, live, like, you know, 10, 15 years ago, however long it was. It's about if everything is so in front of you on that screen. It's like it doesn't. That's what I'm looking for. It doesn't replace with that live sweating in that room. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe that one joke gets told on the microphone that you had to be there for, and there's no video of it, but oh my God, was it so funny? You know, or one live moment where someone on stage trips and spills a beer or whatever. Like you don't get that experience on your phone screen. That's real. That's in front of you. You know, that's the lights hitting, that's the sweat hitting, that's when that one part of that song comes on, everybody sings it, and then the singer of the band shuts up and lets the crowd do it. You don't get that same feeling from a phone screen, from your computer, you know? And I just kind of feel like that, like the live aspect is overlooked. And so for us, it's like, you know, how do you bring in money to go out and do that?
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like you're changing the genre just a little bit too. The punk rock that I first knew was a little bit nasty.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit nasty.
Did you say it was dag nasty?
It was dag nasty. And there was a little bit of nastiness to the Sex Pistols, and the Clash played an entire set with their backs to the audience, you know, like deliberately like rude. I feel like you're a nice guy. I feel like the Winks is like nice punk rock, like power chord punk rock that is like, we want you to have fun. We're gonna be friendly. You know what I mean? And I think that's okay. I think you can take the genre and do whatever you want to with it. Am I wrong?
No, I don't think so at all. I think back then when you like look up the Sex Pistols and like Ramones and stuff like that, like especially the Sex Pistols, they were kind of dicks, if I can say that.
Yeah.
They were mean people, and like that's what a lot of punk rock was. They were mean people. Like people don't know that they had bandanas and scarves in the back of their pockets so they could tie it around their face and rob people. People don't know that, and they call themselves punk. You know, it's like that's the history of where it started. You know, that was England and stuff like that. And I mean, that's what those people had to do to survive. You know, I'm definitely not, criticizing anybody by any means, but you know, I like the attitude and the energy of the music itself and how it makes me feel. But you know, I like the idea of keeping a little bit loose too, like the Replacements did, but without the substance the excess substance abuse. But I really love how like the Beatles kept everything together, and they were great. They were terrific, tremendous performers, and were outstanding at their craft.
Yeah.
So that's where all of it comes from. It's all those things coming together.
And then somebody changes punk. Somebody comes along, Fishbone comes along and says, now it's funk punk. You know what I mean? And the Chili Peppers follow Fishbone. And it's that kind of, like, you can take the genre and do whatever you want to with it. It doesn't have to be, just because the Sex Pistols and the Clash did it a certain way doesn't mean you have to do it that way. You can make it whatever you want to make it.
Right.
So, kudos to you for having fun and having a vision and staying true to your vision.
Well, punk is supposed to be, in rock and roll music in general, is supposed to be about individuality. It's supposed to be about being yourself and expressing and creating or breaking through barriers and bounds as you. And if you do it just like somebody else did, if I wrote another Holiday in the Sun, well, who am I? I'm another Johnny Lydon.
Yeah.
I'm not me.
Yeah.
Describe the St. Louis live music scene. How has it been for you guys during your 11 years? You've been doing this for 11 years. You've been doing this for over a decade now, Dylan.
Yeah.
So how would you describe the St. Louis live music scene? Is it tough? Is this a tough place to be? And this is not Los Angeles. This is not the place where bands say, we're going to make it big and go to St. Louis. But here you are. So describe it.
It feels tough. But I think it feels tough because it's set up to not cater to smaller bands. There are almost no 250 cap rooms in town where a band our size, or even a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, whatever have you, can play, can have a decent stage and decent audio to keep people coming back. You got those small little gems that are holding it down for us, those like 50, 75 cap rooms. And we love them, and we still play them, and we will always play them. But I kind of feel like anybody that's not in the underground, that doesn't, have that patch on their sleeve or whatever, they might not be quite as comfortable to go to those small places and not be able, I can't really hear the singer that well, or the guitar was too loud. Whereas if you take it to a venue like Blueberry Hill or something like that, the sound is done. There's a light show. There's things going on. And I think it might scare a lot of the general populace away, to the point to where it's like they don't feel comfortable, or because they don't know it, they're more inclined to not show up because they don't know what to expect. And I just think it's tough because there's just not a lot going on for people our size.
Yeah, that's funny because when we were touring loosely in St. Louis, hitting pretty much all the medium-sized venues that we played at are gone now.
Yeah, I feel like it's either like you can fit 70 people or you could fit 300.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like a very like, and even at that rate, I feel like almost like 64-40, whatever you want to call it, is like the divider there too.
Yeah.
You
So
have all
why-
the big venues in the city, and then everywhere else, it's like, okay, you're almost better playing a house party to get more people than some venues.
So what happened? What happened to the 250 size venues? Did they evaporate with COVID? Did COVID close those businesses down? Is it just the market that space is too big for it to make sense for these business owners to have that space? What happened? You're acting like there used to be more of them at one point. Is
Yeah,
that true?
I think it's
a mix of it.
It's the market, mainly marketing.
Well, I mean, there's that too, but I think it's a mix of that. Like, COVID really, really hurt a lot of people. in very many different ways. Like Cicero's was a champion.
I was thinking Cicero's
Yeah,
earlier.
I
when
knew as
was-
soon as you were talking, I'm like, I
Yeah.
know he's played Cicero's.
Yeah.
I could see it on him. We
It
played
stuck with me, huh?
we played Cicero's, and like that's a great venue. It's
Yeah.
it's like right,
It's right
just,
there in
just
the loop, yep.
adjacent from Blueberry Hill,
Mhm.
and it's it's what, maybe 100 cap, 150 ish.
Yeah.
I saw they might be Giants there.
Wow,
I saw a lot of
Wow.
shows.
No kidding.
I saw the replacements too, but I don't remember. I think I saw the replacements also, either Blueberry Hill or Duck Room or something like that. But yeah,
You did not.
yeah, they played in St. Louis. The
Really?
replacements? Oh yeah, heck yeah.
Are you telling me I've shared the same stage as Paul Westerberg and Tommy Stinson and Bob
Apparently,
and Chris
You just
Mars?
got to look at the
You think
pictures a little
replacements
harder,
never
man.
Played, like and the big one. The big one that we're missing
Oh,
is
that's the best.
Mississippi Nights.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
where I saw the Chili Peppers and Fishbone and all these great Jason and the Scorchers, all these amazing shows. And I think a lot of them now are at play at what's the name? I'm drawing a blank. Where on the Loop? Come on,
Blueberry
Yeah.
Hill.
Not Blueberry Hill. I know what you're talking
no.
about. Pageant.
the pageant.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I
Pageant.
feel. Yeah,
I
it's
think
like
the
that's
pageant
like.
is kind of, but the pageant is even to me twice as big.
Yeah, the scale goes from
Oh,
like
yeah.
70, 80 cap rooms, Blueberry
5,000.
Hill, to like 2,000 plus. Like all of a sudden you have to be making money to bring people in, otherwise it's a loss. I can't think of any other room that's like Blueberry Hill. It's either way too big or way too small.
You have it. If I'm not forgetting any, it seems like the only two rooms that come to mind are Blueberry Hill and Off Broadway. And Off Broadway is a wonderful venue. I love going to see shows there.
I was just gonna say I feel like it's a seeing shows, not a like bands always go through there, but I've never heard any like local friends bands play there.
yeah. I mean,
It's
yeah,
mainly out of town.
I kind of can't help but wonder if St. Louis doesn't really give a lot of opportunity to some of the smaller bands with the clubs. Or they already have tour packages come in. I don't know. I'm not in their management. I don't know what the rider looks like. I don't know what contract they get sent in the mail, so I really can't talk on it too much. But you see bands come in and they already have like their support acts and stuff like that. So even like let's say you have like the Smoking Popes coming through. Well, hey, here's a band that could fit with the Smut. I love Smoking Popes, by the way. Fantastic group if you haven't heard them. It's like, hey, here's a band in town that could go well with them, and people that know the Popes might not know the other local band. Like that's how it used to be.
Yeah.
It used to be like that, and like honestly, I don't really see it unless everyone throws a local show and it's all locals putting it together. That's the only time that like you see those bands. They're not in when a regional band comes through or a national act.
I've only seen one local band ever play with a big touring act, and that was a friend of Alex's here, Lobby Boxer. Yeah, I saw them at a show, but that's otherwise it's always, hey, here's this person that we've brought on tour with us. It's never picking up. We're going to town. We play this. What are bands that have played that you know about that would fit with us? It's always bring the band with you.
I keep going to see bands that have like their opening act has like almost nothing to do with them, like just so and so, and then the opening act is a comedian. You're like, wait, what? What's going on here?
Interesting.
I've been to at least one of those, and then like the last big show I went to was Alt J and Portugal the Man. And Portugal the Man is like one of my favorites, and I've seen them multiple times. But in this case, it was like the Alt J show, and Portugal the Man got no stage. Like it was weird how they were set up. It just wasn't their tour. All right, what else we got to talk about? You have any questions for these guys as a rock and
Well, I was
roll
just
your
gonna
show?
to let it kind of flow into now this we're gonna talk about
Let's talk religion and politics. 'Cause that's what people came here for.
Absolutely.
geopolitical standings in the world. Yeah, that's
I think grilled cheeses cost too much money.
And I agree. And here's why I agree.
Guys, I want to thank you so much for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it. We need to get out to one of your shows. We need to have you back here after your next EP. How does that sound?
That sounds incredible.
Any plans to record again soon?
We are actually already in the studio. We've already got some bunch of demo work done, and now we're laying out final tracks. It's taking me forever because I'm a prima donna. No, just kidding. I like to layer guitars. And so, we're just in the process. Like all drums are done.
Yeah.
Almost 3/4 of bass are done.
Yeah.
And I've got 2 songs finished on guitar. We're going to look to get about 2 more done and get a grouping of songs. I think for the moment, we're going to stick with more of a digital release plan. Not really so much worry about a physical thing or try to even group them as an online EP, but it's just like, hey, we're alive. Hey, we're still here. We put out Green Eyes a little over a year ago now. And so it's like, hey, we're still doing the thing. Like, pay attention to us. We're not going nowhere.
Did anybody
Yep,
play it
singles.
locally on radio? Is that a big deal for you? Did any local radio stations pick up your music, play your songs?
K-Wolf did. No. What is that?
I would think WLCA, and I would think
WLCA.
KDHX, like LCA's Lewis and Clark.
What are we on? Your Sirius XM.
We were on. Yeah, it's not local.
Not local, but
There-
national.
I can't think of the name of the station, but we were on one local internet radio show. The Point didn't do anything. KDHX. I don't know if we. Again, to be fair, I don't know if we reached out. Actually, I think I reached out to The Point one time and didn't get anything back.
I did that same thing to them. I sent in a recording CD because they have like a new Music Sunday
Yeah,
for local bands. Never heard anything.
yeah.
I have not listened to local radio in
Oh, really?
decades.
Oh, I've
Like-
been listening to
like,
The Point quite a bit.
Really, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't ever listen to if I can avoid it. If I can listen to something on my iPod or whatever on my phone,
Yeah.
or like even my CDs and my tapes. And
I mean, the commercials
my
definitely
my 8 tracks.
drag. The commercials are pretty bad, but it is a nostalgic kind of like feel to have that, to listen to radio and like not knowing you have no choice over what next song comes up. It's sad that that's become like a nostalgic thing with having
Right,
everything at your
right.
fingertips.
There is something
But-
cool about that, but I also feel like St. Louis radio got really boring.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
would
yeah,
listen,
I was
I would listen to in Chicago. Is it? I can't think of the name. XRT. I would listen to XRT in Chicago, and I would feel like really motivated. Like I would be hearing songs that I hadn't heard before, like by Brittany Howard and Alabama Shakes and things like that I thought were like really progressive and things that weren't getting any airplay at all
Yeah.
in the St. Louis area.
Oh yeah.
And I don't want to be too.
I'm not
critical
saying
of-
it's like
yeah.
a pinnacle of music.
Yeah, I
get what
used
you're
to
saying,
but-
intern at a radio station out this way that was small. That was the whole they brought me on as one of the people of like, hey, we want to not be playing the same songs over and over again. Because,
Yeah.
while their repertoire was definitely a lot deeper, you just, after a while, it's like, okay, you're going to hear the same Van Halen
Yeah.
songs, the
Yeah.
same Queen songs. Like, it's going to happen. And you can do it once. And it's like, awesome. You hear it 3 days later. It's like, yeah, that song's still good. Man, I hear that every song, I used the work that, the job that I work at, every day we would have a meeting and they would play 106.5. And they played the same 3 songs at the start of our work shift. And that was definitely the nail in the coffin for me. But it was like,
Yeah.
that's just what local radio is now. It's like, okay, they want to hear this song, they want to hear this song, or they want to hear this song, and
Yeah.
it's just scheduled to the time.
No repeat days until tomorrow.
Yeah, bro, no repeat days. Oh boy,
Yeah, I don't.
We
Oh,
were
man.
we were
no
on
repeat
Little,
weekend.
we were on Little Steven's Underground
you go.
Sirius XM show. My friend Kurt Baker had the BuzzFeed Buzz Electric Supersonic selection of the week, and he actually played "Can You Feel My Heart Beating" on there. I got a message from him one day. He goes, "Hey, dude, I'm playing you guys." I'm like, "Get out of here!" And if you don't know Kurt Baker, look him up. I love him to death. Great power pop, kind of like punk rock sort of thing.
Yeah.
Sort of like glam, like that whole 70s thing. Like he and I are like kindred spirits in that way.
That's awesome.
He's got a song called "Don't Go Falling in Love," and I remember I heard that the first time and I'm like, "Oh, too late." just did. He put out a record. I was going through a really bad breakup at the time, called "After Party" in 2021. 21 or 22. So like, we're right in the thralls of COVID. And he sent the record to me like a week or two before it came out. He goes, "Hey, please don't send this, but I want you to check this out." I'm like, "Oh, cool. Thanks, man." And I put it on and I texted him a couple days later. I'm like, "Kurt, I love this. This is a fantastic record. Lyrically, melodically, just the instrumentation you chose, just everything about it is great." And so I saw him once the world kind of opened up more. I played with Dan Vapid and the Cheats in Chicago at Cobra Lounge, and Kurt came in for the show and he played with his band, the Kurt Baker Band. And I'm like, "Dude, so good to see you again." I'm like, "By the way, it's like I'm playing that record so much." He goes, "Oh, dude, thank you." Next thing you know, he looks at me, or we're over by the merch booth together, and he hands me a 33, hands me the LP, and then he goes, "What size shirt do you wear?" And so he gave me the record, and he gave me a shirt from that record.
That's awesome.
And actually, I wear it in the Green Eyes music video that we have online on our YouTube page.
Oh, wow.
Else. That's where I got that from. And no, I can't sing the praises of Kurt Baker enough. He's just so great.
You like making videos, the music videos? Is that something that's important to you? You said that you weren't a music video person.
It's a necessary evil. I'm not I'm
I'm talking to a filmmaker here.
I feel like if it were an endeavor of, I feel like that I am the subject being filmed and not poked and prodded, but like, "Hey, lights are on you now." And I'm like, I like that when I'm on stage. That's fine. But like when it comes into like, okay, we're gonna do this again and again, it's like I don't mind the repetition, or like, "Hey, let's try it this way." That's what the studio is too. But it's just like, when you're like just singing to a camera or something, like it
doesn't feel connected to you?
No.
Yeah, I mean, these days, if you're not signed to a label and you have that capital to pay for a really good music video, it's kind of more economical just to do a whole bunch of, social content that you can do for free.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but and we have a friend, Sean, who filmed our whole Blueberry Hill set, and like we do plan to work with him, and he's a really creative filmmaker. But I would say if it's just kind of a performance video, it's it's hard to justify, fronting all that money to make a really high quality video that's going to be seen, that you could put out once, versus finding other more creative ways to get a whole bunch of different content out there.
Yeah, I loathe I don't loathe them. I don't enjoy the performance videos. If somebody just wants a performance video, like, it's fine, it's cool, it's easy, make it look really good, light it. But I have a filmmaking background, so I want to do more creative stuff with that. So I prefer like the narratives, or even experimental, just random abstract, to evoke an emotion. Where I can just have, I hate having 100,000 options because it makes me indecisive. But at the same time, like, that's the one time that it works is in music videos, because there's so much leeway creatively.
Right.
That you can pretty much paint that canvas however you want. So I kind of just let shit spill out. I'm like, all right, let's do all of this, but let's tame it down and let's kind of, build it around what you're trying to say, either as an artist or as like this song in particular. So that's pretty cool to do. But yeah, the performance videos are pretty, you can, like you said, you can almost get that kind of quality with a phone and just doing little snippets of things here and there. But some people do it, whatever. We got to shoot, there's a guy named Aaron Kellum that we went to high school with. This is like the third time in this podcast I've told the story. So we went to high school with him, and he is he splits time between Nashville and LA, and he's a recording artist, and he's had a lot of stuff in like shows that have been on air, like either Hulu or like ABC, just different things, like either reality shows or like I think he had something in like whatever the new I'm so bad at like pop culture in this regard, but whatever the new like The Hills is at that point, whatever that is now, he was in that, I think. So we did a video for him. He came back home in Bethalto, and we shot like behind my house. It was just a field, and it was a performance video. It was really cool, and he liked it, and it came out really well, and it looked good, and it was really easy to make. but it was cheap and it was nothing like you would spend a lot of money on doing, in my opinion. So yeah.
And I feel like I would like, because I've never gotten to do like a narrative shoot before.
Yeah.
I feel like I would probably like that better.
I mean, it's filmmaking.
Oh, yeah.
It's making it. It's basically telling a story. You know, like a short film. Is
Real
how we
real
approach it.
filmmaking,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
just like, hey, stand here, and then I'm gonna move here,
Right.
and then I'm gonna move here,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna move over here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing for sure.
Yeah. So you can definitely like make something really like tell its own story. Like the song can tell you one story and the video can tell you something else, but they could collide and like sort of parallel each other. But yeah, it's a cool thing to just have that creative leeway, you know, and be able to do all kinds of different stuff.
One of my favorite cheeky, cheesy ideas ever, and I'm sure some bands have already done it, was like you start the video of like, or I think it got super cheesy when it was like you're like, say it's like us, and like we're on stage playing the song, and then it shows like us like walking around, or one of us walking around or something. They walk at the end of the song, like they walk into the club as like we're playing, and I'm just like, that's like such corny crap. But I'm like, I don't know why my brain thinks that way, and that's why I am not a video
and that's why I don't like music
I don't
videos.
I don't hate it.
I mean that it's not that it's corny. I mean it's that like you can play that off as like, you know, your shtick essentially, and it's.
Could you do the whole Creed thing for me?
Which part of that? Like
where he's like on top of the mountain and stuff.
Oh,
and
you
like,
mean like the full on like scaling?
I'm talking like the
Everest.
whole bit now. Like is all the
Yeah, I mean
that'd be sweet.
I would hate it, but I'll do it.
I want to be the bad guy here. I think narrative music videos are boring. I want to watch.
Okay, let's take the microphone.
I
would.
I want to watch. If I'm gonna watch, nope. If I'm gonna watch a music video, if I'm gonna watch a music video, I want to learn how they're playing it.
That's fair. That's
And
fair.
I also, like I said, I don't like music videos. If I'm gonna look for the song, and
Okay,
it's
nerd
not-
boy.
and it's not like if I want to watch them play the song, I'm just gonna look up a live version.
Yeah.
That's at that rate. That's just better. You're getting to see them actually play it instead of hours of studio magic.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, if you've ever seen Future Islands, their song "Waiting on You" is just like, it is basically a Western culture montage of life in this small Western town, riding horses. It has nothing to do with the band, nothing to do with the song, but it is unmistakable cinematographic genius. And that song changed my mind on video, because I was like you. I thought, well, you know, if we're going to make a music video, just show them playing the damn song. But if you see a music video that is like, has nothing, seemingly nothing to do with the music, if it's really, really well done, it can be quite breathtaking.
I've seen some pretty, yeah.
Yeah.
I can
So-
think of one music video that actually enthralls me, and it's
It's
only,
One Last Breath by Creed.
No, oh god, I hate Creed so much.
Take that from him.
I don't even like the music video. I just like it because they added an extra part to it, and that was the Everlong music video.
Oh,
They just
Oh,
add a
yeah.
second
Yeah.
chorus to the end, and
Yeah.
I think it just makes the song better. But that's the only music video I like, and it's because of that. Otherwise, like I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not watching that. It's just the music in the background. At that rate, I'm gonna put
That's
on
fair.
Spotify.
Oh,
All right,
yeah.
let's-
Oh,
Let's
sorry.
hear a little more. Let's hear a little more winks.
Take the mic from me.
So we're playing with reggae here.
Little 50s doo-wop action for you.
Okay. So it's, okay. Lush. Definitely not punk.
All the years I change and yet I find myself
Wait till the chorus.
Interesting.
stuck the same.
You're saying wait till the chorus?
I think it's a little heavier.
Life rearranging and I can't seem to remember anything. I just opened up the bottle and it won't hurt after a while. So many blurred late nights with paper bags and plastic heart-shaped knives. I can't remember if it's wrong or right, but it only matters.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for coming by tonight. Do we cover anything else? Is there anything else we need to cover?
I mean, we could probably talk forever, but I think that was great. I think next time you guys come, we'll have to do a little performance.
Yeah.
Sure.
Bring your stuff in, minimal little setup, and I know we don't have a ton of room in here, but yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, little
Acoustic,
guitar.
at least acoustic.
We do have to go
Guitar,
around the
like-
room real quick, and I have to, just for
Yeah.
me. Stones or Beatles? Starting with you.
Oh man. I gotta go Beatles. I think.
Okay, you're safe.
I think
Beatles.
Safe.
It's
Beatles.
tough.
Safe.
Tough.
Just go ahead and do it, Calvin. I know you're going to do it too.
No, you know my actual answer.
Stones.
Well, okay, I was gonna say you know my actual answer, but my answer to this one is the Stones. Otherwise, I was gonna say the Monkees.
Oh. All right, so besides Calvin.
Made for TV.
So
No, the
besides
Stones-
Calvin, we're all
the
correct.
Stones.
That's fair. Okay, I'll take it. I mean, yeah, I could go either way, but I'm gonna take the Beatles. I just taking that for safety from you. But no, I love.
I'm
them
just the
all.
biggest McCartney freak on
Yeah.
the planet. Like, it's a problem. Love Paul.
I mean, he's fantastic. He's great. Good song.
A little more George Harrison myself, but that's
Ooh,
just,
yeah.
that's just me.
George is an underrated answer, I feel like, in the Who's Your Favorite Beatle. All right, next. We're going to do that real quick because I'm obsessed. Favorite Beatle? We know you're George.
Yeah, I'd probably go John. I think I could go John.
Okay.
I just connect with him.
Can I say
Right away.
Yoko? Just to be a smart ass?
As long as someone else in here says George Martin or George Martin.
Pete Best.
Say George Martin.
Pete Best.
Pete Best. no, who's it? Billy Shears.
My
Billy
favorite,
Shears is
my favorite
Beatle.
Beatles lineup is Yoko, George Martin, Pete Best, and Stu Radcliffe. That's my favorite Beatles lineup. I'm just gonna say it straight up.
Got Stu from the Skiffle days, dude.
Bro, they put out some bangers as that 4-piece. Those 4 together, Yoko, Martin, Stu, and Pete, like unbeatable. Honestly, in the Beatles lineup, unbeatable.
All right. Well, if you are still listening, I want to thank you for listening to the Creatures of Creativity podcast presented by Whole Street Productions, and huge thanks to the guests, to the guys from the Wings, Dylan Dunnigan, Alex Ward, and Calvin Heinz. Thanks so much for coming by, guys. Hints, Heinz.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.